We are Mike and Jeannie, and we restore old houses. In 2021, we moved to South Carolina and bought a 120-year-old Victorian house. Follow along as we put the polish back on this Victorian masterpiece.
Welcome back to 1834 Restoration House.
Today starts a new episode, and I have an update for you. So last week, we were fighting with the creature that was getting into the house. We put hardware cloth over the hole where we saw that he could be getting in. We don't know what this thing is, right? So we just covered it up. And we thought we had it solved until I got home today and heard some bad news.
I heard the creature today. Not good.
Not good.
What happened?
Right. So I walked upstairs and took a cursory look at it, and the patch that I put on was still in place. But I see this squirrel sitting on the corner of the roof, and we stared at each other for about 5 minutes, and then he scampered up the roof and disappeared, and now it's dark and we can't really do anything about it. But as soon as we get some daylight, we're going to go back up there. You and me, we're going to go check this out and see if we can find out where he's getting in.
Sounds good. Get rid of this thing.
Right, right. But tonight, we're going to start a project. We've decided we don't like heart pine floors, and we're going to go plywood. No, I'm just kidding. This is for a construction project. Let's go take a look and see what's going on.
This is my canning storage. And as you can see, it's a little overfilled. I need more space because I haven't even finished canning. I haven't started soups yet. So I asked Mike to come up with a solution, and he did. Although it's temporary, but it'll work. It's going to be great. Let's go see what he's got in mind. In here is going to be the new space. We're going to take all of this stuff out. These shelves on this first level, we're going to take all of that out as well. And he's going to build some shelves in here so that we can put up canning jars and store them in here. That way they're not stacked anymore. I thought that was a brilliant idea. I can still put all my canning stuff on the very bottom shelf. That'll work perfect. I love it.
The existing shelves are made of plywood, but the way they're constructed, they're not strong enough to hold the weight of full jars. There's an awful lot of flex here, and I wouldn't really trust it. So what we're going to do is we're going to build shelves that are similar to this, but they'll be braced on the front, and there's no way that they can flex like that. So we'll be using 3/4 inch plywood. We'll also be using a 1x2 strip back here to support the back edge, and we'll use 2x4s along the front with notches cut out to hold the front of the shelves up.
Here you go. I know it's big and awkward to get out.
It's almost as big as the door frame. Oh, what's this? Oh, wow. This house was pretty well sanitized of all of the former occupants' belongings, but we just found something. This is a picture, a postcard actually, of the Stockholm City Council chambers. The creature is still getting in here. That hasn't been tampered with. Clearly there's still another way in here. Now I saw a squirrel over here, and he stared at me for 5 minutes, and I stared back at him for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden he ran up here and disappeared. So I'm thinking there may be a problem under here still. So I'm going to get down here and take a look. Oh, yeah. So there's a big gaping hole about this long this long. I kid you not, underneath here. I can't tell if it's chewed out or if it rotted out or fell out. I don't know. You know what? I do see some wood chips here. It's almost like it's been chewing away at it. So I'm going to have to figure out how to block that up and keep it out of here. I don't know if I can do this with hardware cloth or if I have to do something with wood. As it turns out, because the squirrel has broken into the house on numerous occasions, simply closing it up is not going to help. He's going to come back and he'll break in again. So that leaves us with one alternative, and that is to trap him. We got a trap, and squirrels love nuts, so we get them some nuts. And we got some raisins here too, so we use that as bait. And I have the thing propped up on a brick so it shouldn't move too far. So I'm going to go ahead and raise this up and see if we can't get that to set properly. These things are kind of like mouse traps in that they have a hairpin trigger. Just like that, it's ready to go. So if it goes in there, it steps on the paddle, looking for food, and wham, it closes. After that, we'll have to figure out what to do next. We're in Lexington, South Carolina right now, and you're probably wondering, well, what in the world are you doing in Lexington, South Carolina? Well, I'd like to make a shout out to our viewer, Belle B, down in Arizona. She suggested that we take advantage of the Museum Day, which was sponsored by the Smithsonian. And so we looked, and the closest thing that we could find, which was actually having to do with a historic site, was in Lexington, which is about an hour and a half drive from where we live. So here in this beautiful backdrop is a county museum chock full of beautiful old buildings. So we're going to wander around, and we're not going to get too deep into this because we have to get back home and do some work, but we wanted to bring you along and show you a few things. I'm standing here in front of the old schoolhouse, but I want to show you this entire complex is right in the middle of Lexington, South Carolina. As you can see, here's a shopping center over here, there's the main drag over there, but look at this. Here's this wonderful historic district, a beautiful old neighborhood with historic homes, right in the middle of town here.
This vernacular farmhouse was built in 1832. Does anybody know what vernacular farmhouse means? I don't. But look above, they have the paint blue up here. Isn't that beautiful?
Well, this is something that every historic vernacular farmhouse should have, is a big monster air conditioner.
A lot of you have mentioned that our mystery house could be a washroom or an outdoor kitchen, maybe something along those lines. And this is an example of a house that would have some outside. This building over here is the kitchen, and that one over here is the laundry room.
This here is a pizza oven. Not really. This is actually an outdoor cooking oven that they used back in the colonial days. So what they would do is build a fire in there, and then they'd push the fire to the back, and they'd put their food in there and let it cook, and they could close this door to keep the heat in. So anyway, that's one kind of interesting thing. This is a summer dairy where you could put your milk in here, and they probably had a place where you could put ice just to keep it cold. And of course they would close the door, but the thing is, it's about that thick, and the walls are probably stuffed with sawdust, something to keep that cold in there and keep the heat out. It says that this is an ash hopper. I guess they would put them in here and take them back out whenever they needed some. And over here we have a potato house. Looking inside here, I see carrots, pumpkins, pears, and this, of course, is a chicken house. One of the finest chicken houses I've ever seen. Over here is the smokehouse. This is the Privy, otherwise known as the outhouse. We've been to a lot of historic sites, but we've never seen anything like this before. It's basically a wooden box, and it has these poles going through it and lids on top that are weighed down by rocks. Does anybody know what these are?
This is a beautiful park-like area. It's absolutely gorgeous with these pathways on these rocks. Look what we found in the garden. Isn't that beautiful? Hey, love, do you think we could do something like this in our yard for a garden bed? Maybe a rectangle or smaller round circles or something? This is beautiful.
It seems that the colonial period was full of mystery structures. So here's another one. A mound. And this wooden thing here. Anybody have any idea what this might be? I have a theory. I think because of the mound here, there may be some kind of a root cellar down under here, and that might just be a vent, and there could be a tunnel that goes into the house. This place is huge, the Lexington County Museum. There's a lot of neat structures here, and we're not going to show you the whole thing. You'll have to come and see it for yourself. Unfortunately, they don't have any interpreters here that are doing crafts and showing how things work, but they do offer guided tours a couple of times a day.
I do wish more of the doors were unlocked, but it's still a really neat place. We've got work to do back at the house, so let's get going. Those are coming out nice and easy. I didn't think that one through, did I? Now we got this last piece, and then we leave the rest to Mike. That one was loud. Ah. The others didn't feel that loud at all, but this one sure felt loud. Gently put that down. There we go. It all came out. Very nice. Now I want to get this all cleaned up. Take these boards out, take the tools out. Wonder if there's anything underneath this linoleum. Ooh, another linoleum. Come see.
We decided that if we take 2 sheets of plywood and we rip it down into 4 pieces that are 1 foot wide a piece, that should get it done. So I'm marking these off at 12-inch intervals. Then I take my straight edge Okay, now we have a line there. Some people have fancy track saws that they can use to make a perfectly straight line. We don't have one, so we're going to go old school with this contractor saw. Our channel is very interactive, and occasionally we get requests to see things or to do things. And one of our viewers, Ruth Kirkpatrick, has asked if we could demonstrate the doorbell, because she has one just like it on her house, but apparently the insides of it were missing or had been removed by somebody in the past. And so she wanted to know how it worked and what it sounds like. So here it is. You just take the knob and turn it counterclockwise. Just like that.
Yesterday we jammed this brick and some mortar in here. This is where that big hole is. And it seemed to work. We've heard the squirrels trying to get in, and yes, I said squirrels. There's 2 of them we saw yesterday scampering around here. The trap, the seeds and the raisins are gone, but it was never triggered. So they figured out how to get it. These guys are smart. We'll have to reset it because we're determined to get these. And another thing we did this morning was to go into that room, that closet back in there, and played a bunch of different sounds on the cell phone that the squirrels hate. It didn't work so well. We played like the fox, we played the coyote, we played the squirrels fighting, and only when we started making some sounds does these guys run off. It's not working too well. These guys are smart. So I went online and I read that cayenne pepper might work. They've got very strong sniffers. So I'm gonna try putting a bit of cayenne pepper on both sides and see if that will help keep them away. We will win this war one way or another. Now I'm putting it underneath because we're supposed to get rain again, and I don't want the rain to wash this out. Come on. Be generous with this stuff. I don't want them back. Behold, the smorgasbord of smorgasbords. Peanut butter, marshmallow, some pecans, and some walnuts. Now that they associate the trap with food, I'm going to put this beautiful smorgasbord right on the center of that silver plate. Now hopefully they can't reach it without having to go inside to get it. We'll see. Check back later with this. Let's get back to work on those shelves. We've measured the support systems. Now it's time to cut them. These need routed, and those need a different saw. So we'll switch everything up and we'll be back in a moment.
We designed our shelving unit so that it has uprights on the front to provide extra strength, because we're going to be loading it up with heavy jars of peaches and pears and whatever else we come up with. So what we did is we decided these uprights should have notches in them. The shelf would fit in the notch like that, and then the whole piece would be like this. So how do you cut a bunch of notches that are perfect and repeatable every single time? The answer is you make a jig. So we carefully designed this and made it to where it fits over the wood. And we have 2 lines here. We line them up to the lines that we've previously marked on the board, clamp it in place, and then make the cut. So we'll demonstrate one right now. So I just simply put this on there like that, line it up, clamp it, and now I take my router, which is already set, And I'll go ahead and cut the slot. This is the output of all the work we've done so far this weekend. Basically, it's a do-it-yourself closet shelving kit. So now we have to go put it together. First thing I'm going to do is mark the elevations all the way around the room. So the numbers we used are 20, 10, 10, 10, 8, and 8. So those are the distances between the bottom edge of each shelf. So we'll start with 20. Plus 10 gives us 30. And 40. And 50. Plus 8 is 58. And then finally, 66. Now I'm going to do those same marks in all the corners. This 1x2 is going to act as a support for the back end of the shelf, and we'll nail that right to the wall. Now, it's almost always a safe bet that there is a wooden stud right here in the corner on both sides, because that's how they attach sheetrock, and we do know that this is sheetrock, but even if it was plaster, it probably would be the same. So I'm going to sink a nail here and a nail here, and I can see there's a nail pop right here. So I know that there's drywall screws or nails behind that, and that means that there's a stud. So we'll drop a nail in there as well. This is an example of one wall completed. Now we have to do the same thing here on this side, here, back over here, and back over here. So we're going to do all of those, and it'll look like stripes all the way around the room. But I just want to give you a quick show and tell of where we're headed with this thing. So this represents a shelf. The back edge rests on the cleat. And this is a upright, and we've notched the upright so that the shelf fits into it. Now the reason we did this is because this kind of a structure right here is going to be super strong, because the downward force of the jars on here is going to bear down on the cleat on the backside, and it'll bear down on this thing here and transfer the weight clear to the floor. Now, one of the nice benefits of this is these two shelves up here can also benefit from the cleat. So we're going to probably have to make a couple of adjustments here, but once this is done, everything will be locked together. Every single elevation of shelf will be connected to this cleat. It's been a couple of days since we closed off the hole where the squirrels are getting in, but we continue to hear sounds. But the weird thing is, every time we go outside to look, we don't see anything. So we're starting to think maybe we trapped one of the squirrels inside, even though the other ones got out. So it would be a possibility that maybe there's 3 squirrels, not 2. So here's what I did. I built up this special contraption here, and what this does is I'm going to shove it up under the eaves, screw it in place so it doesn't move, And these two here, these are hardware cloth. These two wings right here will fold down and they'll cover up the hole on both sides of this because they basically knot a hole that's maybe 1.5 feet long. So that'll cover this up, and I'll put screws up inside there. That'll stop the squirrel from getting out that way. So the end game here is I'm going to take the squirrel trap, park it up here, and then pin it in place so it can't move. And when the squirrel tries to come out in the morning, he has no place to go except bam, right into the trap. Once we've got him, we can take the trap out, take it 20, 30 miles away and drop the squirrel off in some wooded area, and that'll stop that problem. But we may have to capture a couple more too, because we think there's 3 squirrels. Everything is in place now. We have the hardware cloth screwed in up here. That keeps the squirrel from coming out the sides. There's another one back behind which you can't see. Then there's the wooden structure which functions as a tunnel. So the only way for him to get out now is to come out into the cage, and then we trap him. So when he does, he comes in, he steps on the paddle, and boom, got him. Just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and reset this trap. Oops. Okay, everything is ready to go. So hopefully in the morning when he tries to come out, if in fact he's there, then we'll trap him in here. So this way we'll know for sure if there's a squirrel or not. Well, it's been a long weekend, and it's been crazy. We're actually into the new week now. We didn't get nearly as much done as we thought we would. Life just keeps getting in the way this week, and it's just been crazy. I can't describe how crazy things have been. We still don't know if we got all the squirrels out of the attic. We're pretty sure that that's what that is. We've set the trap. We've checked it every single day. We don't seem to find anything in it. I'm hoping the squirrels are out, and that's the end of the story. But we'll see what happens.
Yes.
Anyway.
Pesky varmints.
Yeah, and we don't have a winner yet on the mailbox. So let me tell you this. It's not a cistern. It's not a well. A lot of people guess that. It's definitely not any of those. Nobody has even really come close to guessing what it is. It's something, let me give you a little bit of a semi-hint. It's something that could have been under a house, a lot of houses actually, back in the day. I'll leave it at that. If you want to keep guessing, we'd love to see your guesses on the email. Okay, you guys, we'll see you next week. Have a good one.